Welcome to Liquidity Alpha, your go-to platform for liquidity tracking. Hey Justin, how are you doing today?
Good. How you doing, Ankit?
Yeah, good. What are we going to look at today? We've got a couple of coins to look at, right?
Yeah, couple. I think today Bitcoin as usual,
Yeah.
and but how about I was thinking also Zcash and you pointed out Jupiter.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
Yeah, they both have had good runs last 24 hours. And I thought it'll be good to look at ZCASH and JUP along with Bitcoin. So let's start with Bitcoin first.
cool. Yeah, let's do it. So we've been we've had this bullish outlook for a while, and it's done a pretty good job for us. And this whole time, and that's bullish because the liquidity is bullish. The candles are green, and the whole time we've kind of identified a nice level of support here with these lines at about 100,000, and so that's kind of where the support is and if it needs to test. But for right now, the on the daily, the candles are being painted green, so the outlook is bullish.
So on a 24 hours basis, I think it looks very bullish. I can see that. Man, that's amazing. I mean, but since yesterday, it sort of stayed around that 111 mark, right? 111K mark. It hasn't really
Yeah,
moved much.
it looks like it. Yeah, I guess the all-time highs were reached yesterday, and
Yeah,
seems to have kind of not reached more all-time highs. So, and I think that's always a little like nerve-wracking for people.
of course.
They like to see like endless all-time highs,
Well,
and so
so you're telling me it can't keep going up?
I mean, time will tell, but for today, maybe not,
Yeah,
right?
maybe.
Because I'm one of those traders. Like I see all-time high, I get a little nervous that the price is gonna, give some back. And so when I looked at the daily, I see it's bullish. That gives me some optimism. I see that nice floor right here of support at 100 grand. So I know that even if things really fall, we can kind of should be able to rely on that support to keep things afloat. But when I looked at the 45 minute, just things do get a little,
Ah, I see. I see. So it's
yeah,
retesting that 111, right? Just around that
yeah,
number.
yeah, exactly. I like it. So essentially when we zoom in to get like to look at the data a little bit more granular and a little more clear, we start seeing that you know, things are unfortunately starting to turn a little bearish after reaching the all-time highs. So the candles are starting to be painted red, and we are definitely working on this level of support right here at 100 and it looks like 111,000, 118. And the concern is that at least on this shorter time frame, if that bearish liquidity works through that support, then our next support is down at 108,600.
Right, right.
And so
Yeah,
you
so
know
the liquidity is telling us that we might go retest the 108 number, which is not a bad, it's not like a huge drop, but it's still
right.
something to keep an eye on in next, 24 hours ish?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Because the name of the game is going to be if this bearish liquidity continues, we test this support at 108. Ideally, we want to see things pop right back up, and then we can go back to the daily and say, haha,
Right.
we're going to keep going up. But if things kind of work through, if we get to 108, and on this
Yeah.
45-minute view, liquidity is still bearish, then we might test 107. So that it's nice because this data gives us very clear stepping stones for what like to look for next.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah. What
yeah,
what
but for now,
what you're showing is like where the liquidity is sitting, right? Like based on the way we calculate liquidity, Liquidity Alpha calculates liquidity. It's showing
yep.
us if you were looking at the data on a very shorter time frame, hourly time frame, it's telling us there is a little bit of resistance based on the bid and ask we can see. So this one is looking at the bids, but they might become the ask, right? But on the daily chart, it is looking very, very bullish.
Yep. So it's just a matter of like how far out are you planning? The daily view is giving us weeks to months. It's telling us that things are bullish, and so yeah, you might have some casual up and downs in the meantime, and that's kind of what it looks like is brewing here.
Right.
It's definitely a longer term bullish outlook, but it looks like a test of like 108,000 is probably incoming and likely, and then it's just going to be a matter of
Right.
monitoring conditions at that point and seeing how things evolve. But yeah,
Yeah.
the outlook is long term outlook is still bullish.
Right,
with a
right.
near term dip potential
Let's
high.
let's let's check it tomorrow to see if it did dip to 108K, even if it's just one candle, right? It might just go back right up. But
Yeah,
let's.
like
It did it a
broke
while
our
back.
ankles on Monday,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it did.
Yeah, I think that'll be good. Yeah,
Yeah, cool. All right, let's move on to Zcash next.
cool. Yeah, this one's big candle as it broke through. So this is, you were saying Zcash definitely you spotted a big move, 14%, and then today it's even still continuing, right? It's always a good sign. And candles are green, liquidity's bullish, outlook is up, and we could see these resistances definitely did their job. It seems earlier in the month, but definitely broke through with quite a lot of vigor, and things are still bullish.
This is the
Yeah, things
Z.
are still.
This is the Zcash revenge here, right there.
Yeah,
It's coming
it
through.
yeah, because I mean you see like it tested resistance here on March, tested it for a while here throughout April, kind of started testing it again. Not kind of, but did early May, and then it looks like just now it's doing a nice breakthrough. So
But look at that though, like how the ask, so the sort of it was sitting there, all these asks, then became the support now, right? Uh, all these different
oh,
liquidity channels.
ideally,
Yeah,
yeah. And yeah, so we we want to see this support, this neon blue. We kind of want to see it start rising up, kind of under the price, supporting it.
right.
That tells us there's a nice, healthy, group of bids walking along the price.
Should we call it channels, Justin? I think should we call these bid and ask like these are different channels, right? Like I know you call them LDPM.
Yeah, no, we can call them. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
because I like channels. I don't know. Maybe there's different word we'll come up with, but so far, I like the way they're sort
Channel.
of working together now. At least the channeling together as bids now.
Yeah, I think as we work through them, there's going to be a lot of things you're going to want to call them because yes, it's just good. It does what it needs to do to tell us what it needs to tell us. So
Right.
sometimes it behaves like a really like a nice channel that the price will just literally stay in for as long as it needs, and then sometimes it's these really robust levels of support, and sometimes
Yeah.
resistance, and
Cool.
yeah,
Yeah. What about the 90?
liquidity.
What about 45 minutes, the shorter time frame? If we were to look at it tomorrow, what we will?
Yeah, let's see. Um,
Oh boy.
yeah. So we have definitely we broke through here on like 11 on the 22nd. And it looks, so this is actually what we were like looking to see on the daily, right? Like this movement of the bid. So we're definitely, so this is going to rise, price is bullish, but I'm curious what's going to happen as these two get together,
Right.
because
So there's a little
it's
bit of
looking,
there's a little bit of leeway, right? So it might be maybe 24 hours or something by the time it gets there.
yeah, I mean, we can see here this flow of liquidity is quite it's we can see how quickly it kind of changed course to come up and meet the price, and that can be beneficial. Unfortunately, we're not going to know how, if this is a maleficent, is that the word?
Maleficent.
Yeah, conversion or like bringing of liquidity,
Right.
because it's the idea is this could be a really nice support, but that does imply that the price is probably going to fall to test that support.
Right.
But if price kind of keeps going up, as liquidity is bullish, so it's probably going to do.
Yeah.
So that is the main outlook, but we do got to keep certain that as this liquidity this level of liquidity meets the current spot, that it's a bid, not an ask. Currently, right now, it's a little in the air because of how aggressive it's moving.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But
the rest of the other two liquidity channels are staying there, right? They're not moving much.
it looks like it's like the Titanic, right? We slowly start seeing those like lean up.
Right.
But again, that's all kind of detail that paints the picture of the potentials. But ultimately, the candles are green, and so the outlook is bullish.
Cool.
So maybe some turbulence, as we kind of mentioned yesterday, as this level of liquidity comes to meet the price. But
Yeah.
until liquidity looks bearish, it's bullish.
I think it'll stay within that 55. What was the number? I didn't even see.
Yeah.
45. I think it'll stay within that $49 price point in the next maybe 24 hours. I don't know. We'll come back and
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah, I would say like if we're looking for like especially like worst case scenario, like it would definitely be like a stagnant price as this
Yeah, that's what I
liquidity
think.
stream comes up,
Yeah.
and then it would like kind of
Yeah.
do that. Unfortunately,
Or
yeah.
it'll just flow through with it. So price can keep rising next couple of days also. That's also possible.
Yeah, that's kind of like the ideal what we would like, right? Like as this liquidity comes up and it's a nice bid, so if the price does test it, but it will still kind of
Yeah.
it'll catch that bid and get float back up.
Yeah. Okay.
But definitely, yeah.
49, around 49, I think we'll probably see tomorrow. So we'll come back and relook at it tomorrow. Cool.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's look at JUP, Jupiter.
JUP?
It's a Solana coin. That's a beautiful Solana coin. So
Yeah.
it broke through, I think, the resistance, liquidity resistance there.
Yeah, another breakthrough here. So we have a prior test unsuccessful, and then it seems like a week later we get, yesterday this 12% candle, and another 7% today, and kind of just like we saw before, the candles are green, liquidity is bullish, and so the outlook is to keep breaking through, to keep going.
That looks very bullish. What about the lower time frame, 45 minutes or an hour?
Yeah, let's go to the hour. I always forget the hour exists.
Look at that.
Yeah. And what's interesting though, you'll note that like this is kind of a repeating motif that we see in these coins.
Yeah.
This idea that we've recently just had this breakthrough and liquidity is bullish.
Yeah.
And we see kind of these LDPMs like kind of moving up to price. And so definitely bullish, and I would just say some rapidly moving liquidity levels on a lot of coins. Like just whenever you kind of see these liquidity levels moving, just kind of just if they're going somewhere, but then suddenly move, and especially if they start leaning heavy, it just tells us that there's a lot of like fish are swimming in the sea.
Yeah, there is a lot of liquidity for now, but yeah, it can change very quickly. But for now, it looks very positive. I mean, it already broke through. What do you expect in the next 24 hours this to do? It looks pretty flat to me. It looks like very positive.
Yeah, I mean, there's no, kind of how when I look to figure out, expectations, I guess, I'm really curious, it's bullish because the candles are green, so the outlook is bullish until proven otherwise. And so the name of the game really becomes, can you find something that would disrupt that? Like, can you find a resistance? Can you find like a very aggressive ask somewhere? And when we look here, we really don't see much of that. I think with all breakaways, it's good to identify the support. So 54 cents here. But other than that, as long as the outlook, the candles are green and the outlook is bullish, then it's hard to unlimited upside really.
Yeah. What about weekly? If you were to look at weekly for this, like a longer time frame, which might be a month or a month and a half or something, right? There's nothing there.
Yeah, weekly doesn't do anything, unfortunately. We can see Bitcoin for the weekly.
Yeah, we can look at Bitcoin quickly. Yeah.
That's impressively bullish.
It is bullish.
So yeah, we see we get this we had this test of this support here, and it even turned liquidity bearish.
Yeah.
And at the time the expectation would have been to fall down to 63, but it looks like we have the liquidity, the bid swooped underneath, and now we're back to printing bullish candles. So that is a bullish. That is a bullish outlook, for sure.
All right, Justin. We'll be re-looking at this content, but thank you so much for today, and we'll be reuniting tomorrow.
Yeah. Till then, Ankit, have a good one.
You too.